They called us slackers and sick.
Truly local radio.
And welcome back to the Drive Time. My guest in the studio, Felitche Hutchinson. He is a musician, an artist, a poet. He is a man who is studying music production, independent music production, which is great because that's really where it's at right now. It's really at, and again, now we were talking before the break, and thanks to Pubsy for calling in for a little stroll down memory lane because, again, Toronto used to be the place for those great venues. I mean, in the 60s, there were all the clubs on Yonge Street. They all got closed down. Most of them were torn down when they built the Eaton Centre.
Yeah.
So, and then, now the Hard Rock's going the way of the Buggy Whip. We remember Larry's Hideaway, of course, disappeared a long time ago. Mm-hmm. What's left? What's left there now?
There's really, that's the thing. There is, like you were actually saying before the break, how the Seattle music scene got started is, and I know the grunge music explosion down there in Seattle is there was a frustration of, hey, we have nowhere to play our music. Mm-hmm. So what bands started doing is they would rent out the location and try and sell their own tickets and do their own thing. And that was, of course, one of the births of an independent musician, which is now us, where we can we don't need a label to do something incredible. We can do it on our own. It's difficult now, don't get me wrong, but nowadays the faith that club owners have that you're going to go in there and sell the night out is very low. And they're not going to let you in there on a Friday or Saturday night because they already have their regular DJ and people are going to be there anyways. So there's no need to showcase another act.
Again, to that point, they're going to want you to fill a Wednesday.
Exactly.
Or a Tuesday night.
Exactly.
Who's going out and getting loaded on a Wednesday night?
Yeah, exactly,
Well, unemployed youth, that's Tuesday
night.
Right.
Yeah, everyone who's too stressed from exams is definitely in there right now, believe me.
Well, and then you got a problem with selling enough liquor, right? I mean, so they paid their $10 or $15 to come in with the ticket at the door, but the bar needs them to buy drinks, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's this vicious circle, and most clubs aren't willing to take that risk, and in fact, they don't want to take that risk. They just want to. They just want to be the ones that are in there and they're making their money, and they don't really care who's really performing at that point, as long as they're good, and if the DJ they have is good, then they're not going to risk anything else. So that makes it very difficult for us as artists to try and perform and get exposure. And the struggle is you call so many places and no one answers, no one responds to you. How hard is it to respond and say, hey, I'm not interested? And what
about places like Government down in the west end of Toronto there?
It's the same thing.
Same deal though, right? They've got their set DJ on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Or Rebel Nightclub, which used to be Sound Academy. Places like that. They're only going to bring in those major acts to oversell the place rather than what it would normally do on a regular night.
Well, so now you're down to renting hockey arenas, basically.
Exactly. So now I have to find, say, for example, I have to go rent Mod Club, which is going to be way over my budget, and try and sell to, I'm sure I could sell out those tickets, but chances are you're either going to break even, which is not a bad thing because you're getting the exposure, but you're either going to break even or go under, which again, if you're getting the good exposure, that's not something you're typically worried about, but moving forward as an artist.
Yeah, but how can you afford to continue to do that?
Exactly.
The trick is, you can afford to do that maybe once a month.
Yeah.
Or if you're lucky, maybe even twice a month if you're breaking even. But
exactly.
You want to be able to do more. I mean, it's not like you're looking to pay a mortgage. That's the other thing. Everyone thinks, oh, well, why would I pay a ticket? It's just something unknown. Why would I do that? Guys got to pay the mortgage, man.
Yeah, it's true. We're all trying to live. Yeah,
everyone's trying to. We're all trying to pay the bills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the hard part. You got a song about paying the bills?
I do actually. I know that's on definitely on the album. It's gonna get that one's called. I think I mentioned it already. It's called Paycheck to Paycheck. That's trying to live literally on your tax and everything, and work your way through everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough. It's not an easy road to hoe, and obviously, you're here now.
Yeah.
Do you still rely on support from your parents? I hate to ask you this, but I mean, obviously you're struggling.
No, that's
fine. Are you still relying on the support from your parents? And
my biggest financial advisor is my dad. So
there you go.
Anything that goes wrong, I have to call him and just be like, hey, look, this is what happened. What do you think? And he'll tell me to the best of his abilities what I can do. He's never been wrong.
They're supportive, though, right?
They're very supportive. Okay. They know what I'm doing, and I can support myself. But it's hard, and especially, things happen. Sometimes you get slapped with a bill, and you're like, where did that come from? And, I'm not quick to call my parents because I always want to be the one that's supporting myself. But if I have to, and absolutely have to, they're always the first call. So.
Well, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and again, that's.
And I'm blessed, really.
I hate to say it, but that's what parents are for, right?
Yeah.
They're not there necessarily to bankroll, but they're definitely there to support you. And I'm glad to hear they support you. That they're not okay, Felitche. It's been 3 years, man.
What are you doing? Yeah.
When are you getting a real job?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and thank God for that.
Yeah.
They really trust me that I can do this, and so far it's been good. I've given them enough to say, okay, he's doing something. Right, but like I said, it's a cutthroat industry, and even sometimes you're doing so well, and then that's it. That was your run. So I just hope it keeps moving forward.
Are they playing your music in the car?
They are. Yes, of course they are. They play it everywhere.
Like, who is that? Oh, that's my son.
Yeah.
Have you not heard him? This is my son.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'd be doing, man.
Oh, yeah. My dad was the first day it played, actually, it played in Vancouver on the radio, and he was the first one filming it, sending to me, look, I heard it. I was like, okay, relax. So I'm glad it's getting out there.
You're getting some airtime now. Is that on community radio, like what we have here, or are you getting some good play on some of the bigger
Yeah, no, I'm getting it's actually half and half. Some has been community radio, other has been like I was mentioning earlier, French radio, which is really cool that they're playing the song. Back home in Vancouver, it's played on. It's some people called into the major stations and got some airtime there too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
so it's cool, and if I can keep going that way, hopefully it'll appear on maybe the more major song like stations. Now, the goal for temporary release was not actually to hit those major stations, since I'm still trying to crack through that barrier, but the goal of it is to get enough attention so that when I do release this album and get that message out there, that enough people are being exposed to it, enough people are listening to it,
right.
And of course
Absolutely.
We're moving everything forward.
Well, speaking of moving forward, we are too. We're going to take our last break of the hour. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up with Felitche Hutchinson.
Yes, sir.
As we wend our way through the drive time this afternoon. And have I heard from my good friend Pete Fisher? Let's see what he says. He's in Port Hope right now, so there's a good chance.
He's coming.
There's a good chance he's coming in. There it is. We'll see him. It is life in the fishbowl, folks. You never know what's going to happen on Fisher Fridays. We'll be right back after this break.
I'm Chef Michelle.
.ca.